Did you do that yet? We'll do it tomorrow. Study.
Okay, welcome. Good morning. I got some bell work on the front board before you get started. You can just respond. You do not have to write in full, complete paragraphs, just a brief explanation. Explain how these images show two contrasting perspectives of the Industrial Revolution based on working conditions and living conditions that we have touched on briefly already. Minute or two. I'll talk about this. Okay, give me what you came up with. Looking at these four images. Now remember when we talked about revolutions in the arts, remember what art form was used during the Industrial Revolution? Claire? Okay, photography, which falls under which category? Realism. Okay, remember we had the development of realism. Photography was the main means of expression to show how things really were during the Industrial Revolution. So these are actual primary source photographs from the Industrial Revolution. So what do you see that gives you contrasting perspectives on living and working conditions, Carter?
The left side are the unskilled factory workers, and the right seem like the entrepreneurs or like the people that like supervise factories.
Okay, absolutely. The more unskilled labor, lower classes are over here on the left. The right side would be more of your new upper class or skilled labor, the new emerging middle class that came as a result of the Industrial Revolution. Okay, Lexi?
Well, I couldn't really see the bottom right picture, but to me it looks like the top was showing the prospects of success of the Industrial Revolution. Like
Up here?
The blue top was the one, because it showed like the creations and their success, and then the bottom kind of showed the poverty and the overcrowdedness of the factories. It looked like.
Okay. What else? Let's go one by one. Up here, what's happening in this picture? Bridget?
It shows the development of child labor and stuff.
Okay. It may be kind of hard to see in the back. This is like a kid that's less than 10 years old up here working on this machine. Notice how thin he is. He doesn't have any shoes, and he's working a very complicated machine that if he were to get his foot or his hand stuck in here, it's going to take it right off, or take his finger off if he gets it stuck in there. Okay. Based on what I can see, I mean, he looks like he's about 7 or 8 years old in that picture. So that would be one of the ill effects of the Industrial Revolution, child labor. What about down here? What is happening in this picture? Colin?
It's the overcrowded slums, where the factory workers live. Boy, it looks like the factories themselves, how they look that great.
Okay, you're on it with the first part. This is one of the slums that the factory workers live in, very crowded. Can you tell what these are?
Garbage.
It's the trash that, like, you didn't have anywhere to put it, so the trash and the sewage would just build up in the streets. Okay, like you read about when you wrote your paper, and like we've talked about briefly, sewage and trash would just continue to pile up in the streets, which led to things like disease and sickness. So that's what's happening down here. Any idea what this picture is? Like, so it is a crowded place, but it's crowded for good reasons. You know why? You want to take a guess?
Like the stock market.
Not quite. Bridget? You wanna-
Is it a picture of a port, perhaps Liverpool?
It is Liverpool, the first port city that developed in Britain. Some of you have roles where you were like a merchant ship captain or a dock worker in Liverpool, or maybe you worked on the Manchester-Liverpool Railroad. This is the port city of Liverpool, basically at its peak. You have a lot of cargo coming in and out, a lot of commerce happening. So it's showing that it's a very thriving city, the port of Liverpool there. Okay? Any other comments on that? All right. I have something else to share with you here. So obviously we know by looking a lot of the negative things that came with the Industrial Revolution, from the papers where you wrote, the essays where you had to take on a character of the Industrial Revolution. We know there's difficult working conditions. Women and children were used for their cheap labor. We know the living conditions were not good. What are the good things, though, come out of it? Colin?
Development in new technology.
New technology? Alex?
The ability to move up in social class.
Okay, you now have the ability to rise up in social class. In fact, we have a whole new social class, that new middle class of skilled labor. Carter?
The middle class can afford luxuries that only the rich people could afford.
Okay, now some of the new workers are actually becoming more wealthy, or access to more luxuries than the traditional government employees or religious figures that usually were the only people able to access high amounts of wealth. I have a chart here for you. What is this telling you? It's basically confirming what you are telling me. Carter?
As
If you want to come up here and point to stuff, you can too. Okay, go ahead.
As like the blue technological process increases, the growth, the income increases as well because of the better jobs that are made, and then the population drops but steadies.
Okay. Where do you think the Industrial Revolution is happening on this chart? Carter, you want to take it?
So,
Yeah.
I would say
Tell me where to move my hand, right or left?
the to like right there.
Right here?
Yeah.
Is this where industrialization is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
right at the end, it's the pro-industrialization.
Yeah.
Post.
What's happening across the bottom here is these are just generations of a family. As the number gets higher, it's further generations of a family. So it's basically just time is progressing forward. Along this side is percentage of growth. Okay, so if lines are going up, that means it's growing. Lines are going down or staying steady, that means it's either declining or staying consistent. If you look right here, all at once, you have a very sharp increase in technology, you have a very sharp increase in income, okay, all because of the Industrial Revolution. The one thing that drops off slightly is population growth, and we know why that is. Why? Go ahead, Carter. Okay, not enough room, crowded. What does that mean for life expectancy? Life expectancy is decreases because of diseases. Good. You have crowded, trash and sewage filled streets. Disease is increasing. Working in the mines and factories is not safe, so people were not living nearly as long as they once were. Good. Anything else there? Questions? Anything I'm not explaining clearly enough? All right, I want to give you, this is going to be for your binder. It's a class handout. You are receiving a copy of the labor laws for miners in Ohio, not like people that work in mines, like young people miners, such as yourselves. What I want you to do when you get this, and you can work with the people at your table for like 3 minutes, browse through these labor laws and either highlight or circle or star or put a dash next to things that you can find that are basically direct results of what happened during the Industrial Revolution. Things that would be consequences in today's world of what happened during industrialization in Britain. You can work with your table mates if you choose.
That would be Oh yeah, that's good.
This made me laugh for like 5 straight minutes. Just because of the way you worded it.
Oh, thank you.
Give it to me instead.
So do you want to look at
You should know that if you're under 60 years of teacher, you can't work in a freezer They can't do that. It's just not fair. Can I just
Yeah, I'm just looking at all this.
Okay, what'd you come up with? What'd you find on the list of child labor laws or minor labor laws that you can see a direct link between current law in Ohio and the Industrial Revolution? Lexi?
The wage agreement, rest period, time records in the first part. In the second part, we have 5 and 6. Then the fourth part.
Okay, let me cut you off there. So that's all about working hours and wages, right?
Yeah.
Were you gonna, or did you have another part about, were you going to go into the time of year as well? Or, okay, we'll come back to that. I would,
5 kind of has that one.
are you looking under restriction on working hours, 5?
Oh, no.
Which number 5 are you looking at?
On the restriction. Oh, wait, yeah. There's two, they say the same thing, like, there's different ages.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so all the ones that you referenced there are all about working hours and wages. And essentially what it does is it limits the amount of time in a day and in the amount of time in a week that a minor can be working. If you were living during the Industrial Revolution, at your age, how many hours a day should you be expecting to work, Carter?
around 14?
Yeah, minimum is 10, maximum is like somewhere around 15. Usually people work somewhere between 12 and 15 hours a day for 5 to 7 days a week during the Industrial Revolution. As you can see that is prevented on here. What's the number one reason why children were the number one use of labor during the Revolution? Cheap, okay? So there were times where children could be hired and they might not even know how much they're going to be making when they get hired, and then they're just paid a very low wage. In Ohio today, we have laws that protect minors from any kind of problem like that, where you're going to be paid for your cheap labor. What else did you see on here? Morgan, what did you find?
After that,
Yeah, anything.
Well, we also had some things on the prohibited occupations for minors under 16.
Okay, there's a couple of really good ones there. Can you find specific ones?
Yeah, the manufacturing.
Okay,
Like the mines or something like that. The work in the boiler and or engine room. And I wasn't really sure on transportation or the loading and unloading items.
yeah, those are all good ones. Think about like the manufacturing and jobs where there involves like a boiler. What were problems that people had during the Industrial Revolution, like when there was a boiler present? Some of you wrote about these in your papers, if I remember. Anna? Yeah, a lot of times it would like explode in your face and like burn you or cause substantial injury. Okay? Manufacturing, that's like all the machines that people would get their hands caught in or their feet caught in and lose a limb. You pointed out mines. Number one place for children to be used as cheap labor during the Industrial Revolution, where injuries would occur or there would be health problems, were in the mines. Okay, so you actually have those occupations listed right here as places that you cannot put children for labor purposes. Okay, I'm going to go back to time of year. I see some laws on here that restrict children from being able to work certain times on the calendar and certain hours during the day. Why do they pick those specific times of day and on the calendar? Carter, what do you think?
So they don't miss like school and holidays.
What was the first thing you said?
So they don't miss school.
School. Okay. You go ahead.
And they like have holidays.
Okay, good. The key is the first part. They don't want you missing school in today's world. At your age, what are you expected to be doing if you lived in the Industrial Revolution time? Bridget?
Not go to school.
Not go to school, do work in the factories or the mines. What are you expected to do in today's world?
Go to school.
Go to school, right? So they actually have laws that protect you from having to work during the times when you were supposed to be in school. Okay? Anything else you found on there that really stuck out? Pretty much the whole thing is a result of Industrial Revolution problems, right? We wouldn't even have all these child labor laws if there wasn't an Industrial Revolution and then, as an effect to that, some type of reform movement to protect child labor. That's pretty much why these are in existence, right? Okay, here's what I want to do. I returned your essay to you where you were assigned a character from the Industrial Revolution. You were asked to determine whether that person might be pro-Industrial Revolution or anti-Industrial Revolution based on how it affected their individual life. So what I want to do is get you into your groups, and then I'll give you some more instructions. So we're going to split the room in half. This will kind of be our neutral